It's Marabelle Blue with a new Marabelle Blue Unfiltered. Welcome to my channel, everyone. If you're new, please consider subscribing. I talk everything about reality TV, relationships, and much more. And if you're not new, welcome back. Are we ready for some Bachelorette? I know I am. I've got my handy cards. And let me tell you, I really want to make this video super quick because I will be doing a video every week on the Bachelorette, and I will try my best to do Married at First Sight. Today is Wednesday, so episode 2 of Married at First Sight is probably playing in your area. It's about let's see. It's 6:41 here. I don't think it starts until 8 o'clock here in Arizona. So I am looking forward to Married at First Sight, believe it or not. I have made some notes. And I think probably for the initial, I'll do blogging. But I could tell you right now, out of all of those relationships, I think only one will survive. There's no way that I could see the couple Ben and I forget the other woman's name, and of course I didn't write it down here. I don't know if it's Mindy or something like that, where he is like super cheap and she's not. For a person who doesn't turn on the air conditioner, doesn't turn on the heat, it's one thing to be frugal, yet another to be just a super cheap ass. Not going to work out. So I just want to give you a preview of that because, again, the experts, I always say the experts always get it wrong. And I'm sorry, Pastor Cal, I have to put you out there. You talk too much about these comparisons and how one will help the other. That's not the reality of relationships, at least from the way I understand it. And even then, I don't know, but you will hear my sarcastic thoughts about relationships within The Bachelorette. So let's get started. So, The Bachelorette has just started on Monday, and they are doing something completely different. In all of the years that I have been watching this show on and off, mostly on, then off, we have two bachelorettes that has come from the Jerky Clayton season. And I think it's going to be super interesting. I had some concerns because I didn't want it to break up the friendship between Gabby and Rachel, which I really do think that they do have a genuine friendship. And nobody wants to see a friendship end over some guy. That's like not cool at all. Like men are not really that important in my book to break up a friendship. As a matter of fact, men are not important in my book at all. How about that? Especially when they just say stupid things. Never drop the L word unless you mean it. I'm just saying. So let's talk about Gabby and Rachel and not so much about me. Going back to what happened in the Clayton season, and we all know was full of dramatics. I blogged all about that, and I'll definitely leave those special links below on The Bachelor with the Clayton season and all of the fiasco that happened. I will say this, one of the things that they did say, Gabby and Rachel, that made total sense. It seemed that Clayton did pretty much have his mind made up, or at least it looked that way. He was very much into Gabby, he was very much into Rachel. But the minute the other girl left, and I can't even remember her name right now, all of a sudden the game changed because in life we always want what we can't have and we try to attain that. And that's not to say that you can't always get what you want, because that is a song. However, you have to take under consideration everybody else that's involved, because if you're saying things that you really don't mean, perhaps you shouldn't be saying those things. And this was the problem with Clayton. He was too much talking about how much he was in love with everybody, but then when it came down to the final four, or at least I think it came down to final three, he realized that none of the women that were standing before him were the women that he wanted, because he wanted that other one. Again, I can't remember her name. I'll probably just scroll it down because I'm going to look it up anyway. But yeah, it was actually Susie that he picked. You see, she's just so unforgettable, at least just for me. I know that's not nice, but I really don't care. Getting back to Rachel and Gabby and their experience with Clayton and his indecisiveness. And when Susie left, and then he wanted to win her back, all of a sudden, the rest of the women, Gabby and Rachel, were not good enough. And this is a problem, especially in this type of a scenario where you have different people that you're pursuing. All feelings are all over the place. And not only that, too, you're basically enclosed. You're not really dealing with the outside world unless you have to, for whatever reason that is. Then they give you, I guess, access to your cell phone or whatever the case may be. I mean, this is the way I believe it's always been done. And this is the reason why a lot of the relationships fail, because they're in this enclosed environment and they're not really allowed to deal with outside people, with the exception of the producers. So, in essence, when the show is over, is when the relationship really begins. And whether or not the person that they chose is truly compatible for them. And that's the way it is in real life. You can be attracted to somebody and you can talk to them and hang out with them, and you have all of these things in common. But until it starts to get serious is when you decide whether or not that person is for you. And such as in the cases bachelor, bachelorette, etc. One of the things that Gabby mentioned that I felt really was important, and I completely related to what she said, sorry, what she said, was that she's at a place where she's not really fully trusting of men because of the experience that she had with Clayton. Now, of course, in these shows, they like to take people and just put them right back into the ocean and start searching out for somebody new without really getting over what just happened in the previous relationship. There could be still feelings lingering about. You just never know. And one would think, is the person going to rebound as a result of not really getting over that last relationship? But again, everybody is different. Not everybody will be the same. Not everyone will have the same experiences as far as the feelings are concerned. So perhaps they are both ready to venture out and meet someone new. So, in essence, the indecisiveness can be scary for somebody who wants to be in a relationship or explore even the opportunities of a relationship. And then you have that other person that acts like they want to be in it, but then they kind of step aside and say, oh, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Like, I'm not in a relationship. And you're thinking, like, what's going on here? Like, I thought things were happening and things were developing, and then all of a sudden the person just changed their mind, like without any warning, which is really messed up when you think about it overall. And that can take away the trust of, well, if this person wants to come back, how will you trust them to be sincere and not be like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm in this full force 100%, and then turn around and say, you know what? I changed my mind again. I'm not sure. Can't be both ways. You're either in it or you're not. So let's talk a little bit about the men who were on this episode. And I like what they did at the end. So there are going to be spoiler alerts, just to let you know. Quincy, I was not impressed with Quincy at all, or Quincy, I guess his name was pronounced. He just did too much of this. I don't know. There was just something not right and not sincere. I don't like men who try so damn hard and they just come off as this suave kind of a person. It's like, okay, stop. Like, you just be yourself. Like, stop all of this nonsense. But I will tell you, it's a very, very rare that a man would come on this show and I'm like, wow. I think that happened with Joe, the grocery store guy, who he went with somebody else. But let me tell you, when I saw Joe, the grocery store guy, I'm like, how come I wasn't in New Jersey when this guy was floating around single? Because he is like, wow. But, he's taken. So can't do anything about that. But when Hayden came on, I was like, wow, who is this guy? Nobody pick him, send him home. I just like freaking lost it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I have a type, but let me tell you something. I really, really was wowed with Hayden. And I think that Rachel was too. Then there was somebody else, I can't remember who it was exactly, that had I think it was Ethan, that had like a little choir singing about Clayton being a jerk and all of the stuff. And I think that the at some point the ladies got tired of Clayton being brought up within the introduction, which I can understand. Nobody wants to pass kind of thrown in their face or be reminded of. And again, this has always been my issue with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, is that these people come with like weird introductions. And yes, you are trying to make an impression, but you also don't want to look like an ass. Like that guy Jacob, I think he came like on a horse without a shirt. It was like coming out of one of those Harlequin novels. It's like, okay, just stop. Put your shirt on. It's not that serious. The dude that came without any shoes. I mean, the list goes on and on. Oh, and let's talk about the meatball guy. Please send this fool home. Why? Like, why? He brings a giant meatball. I think somebody was eating it. And then what is his damn it. What is that? Oh, okay, okay, okay. And then what is his occupation? A meatball enthusiast? Like, can you imagine meeting somebody on a blind date and you ask them, well, what do you do for a living? I'm a meatball enthusiast. I would get up and walk the fuck out. Like, I wouldn't even want anything to do with a person like that. It's bad enough that I had a child, a grown ass man child living here taking advantage of me. Let's not get into that. So James was the guy with the meatball. Please send him home. Not even worth coming in. Tino, this was a guy that Rachel was very, very taken by. And again, spoiler alert, he did get the first impression rose, which kind of surprised me because I thought that Hayden would get the first impression rose, but he did not. She likes Tino. Gabby likes Spencer. And who else? Oh, and Gabby was very taken by Mario. Now, he's cute, I guess. He's like a little bit on the feminine side, and his kisses were like really awkward. I don't know. I'm probably gonna find a clip if I can and kind of insert it in here. There was just some awkwardness to the kissing. I'm not quite sure, but somebody else could look at it differently. And then the twins, Joey and Justin. Oh my God. Like they were just talking in this monotone voice. There was no animation in their voice whatsoever. They didn't seem excited to be there. And I was such at a loss. I mean, like twins that really didn't have any personality whatsoever. And I don't know how much talking they did, but you could just see in both Rachel and Gabby's faces. They were like, when is this conversation going to end? It was like a logistical nightmare. So, spoiler alert here, I was not surprised that they sent them home because it was just not worth the time. Plus, I think they were like 24 years old, too young. Go out, twins, and enjoy life. Explore going out dating and other women. Like, you don't need to be tied down now. It was a cute idea if they would have wound up with them, but I didn't see it happening at all. Who else? Who else? Okay. And then Gabby said she had a connection with Ryan and the guy with no shirt, which was Jacob. And let's see. Okay. So I made a list of who the ladies connected with, at least in this first episode. Rachel connected with Jordan, Hayden, the wow guy. That's what I'm calling him, the wow guy. He was wow for me. He may not be wow for you, but let me tell you, like I said, everybody has their own taste in guys. And for me, he was a wow guy. Tino, he is the forklift guy. They got a first kiss. And then Logan on both of them. He was feeling both of them. We're going to get to him in a minute. He was the guy that came in with the chicks. That was weird. I don't like when they bring live animals. I mean, it's like, why do you do that? The horse, stop all that stuff. Okay, and then Gabby, she connected with Ryan, Jacob, that was the guy with no shirt that I couldn't remember his name. Mario, and spoiler alert here, she did get, well, what am I saying? Spoiler alert. I already told you that he kissed. And then Eric, the Thai guy, I want to talk about him too. But spoiler alert here that Mario did get the first impression rose from Gabby. Let's talk about Logan a little bit. He was the guy that came with the two chicks. Logan right now is playing both sides. He's not saying he's into Rachel exclusively, but he's also not saying he's into Gabby exclusively. Logan is playing the game of who will connect with him first. This is the impression that I'm getting. And whoever is into him, that's the one he's going to go with. Now, see, this can be a dangerous game because what happens if they are both into him just as equal? He's going to keep playing the game. This is not going to be about investing feelings. This is going to be on how far he can go. And for me, that's not a good thing because what's going to happen when they're both getting to the end? Do you know what I mean? And he's still around and still hasn't made up his mind because he's more about how long he can stay on camera than investing or making an investment on any of those relationships. So I am hoping that he gets found out and he goes home very, very soon. I don't like him. Eric is the tie guy. They were the one that they were helping him put the tie on. He also is playing both sides, like Logan. So I see the same thing happening. Another person not making a real investment, probably not looking for a real relationship. You know, who's to say that any of these people that come on this show are really looking for sincere relationships? We have seen it in all past seasons. People have that who have come in and out and not really want to be in a relationship, but just want to have the spotlight on themselves. And I really don't know why anybody does that because at the end of the day, you're just going to look wrong and you're going to look bad and nobody's going to like you. And sooner or later, they're going to forget about you. That's what happens. So the 5 minutes of fame really doesn't help here in this situation, especially if you're not looking for a real relationship. What else do you have to offer if you're not looking for anything real? So here are some side notes that I was making. Um, the men shared concerns about the women liking the same guy, which is understandable. But at some point, you have to start liking one more than the other. There has to be more of a connection, a deeper connection going on where you just start doing the process of elimination. I'll give you a side note. Okay. I had a friend who, when I was living in the Bronx, who went on a dating site and she began, like, she did her own bachelorette thing. She started dating a bunch of guys all at once. And then she started doing the process of elimination. Like, if she went on a date with them one time and there wasn't a connection, it's just move that one aside and then keep dating the pool of guys until it got to one. And I don't know how she did it. I commend her. She did find her husband. She got married to him on my birthday, no less. I mean, not that she did it on purpose, but I every time my birthday comes up and then I see happy anniversary, I remember, oh yeah, she's been married to him for quite some time now, and she is very, very, very happy, and good for her, that people can do that process of elimination and wind up with the guy that they want to be with. I have no patience whatsoever. It's just, I'm the kind of person, when I used to go out on dates all the time, if I didn't like you, that was it. Sometimes the date ended in the middle. I was like, listen, I'm going to go home. See you later. Bye. That's just the way I operate. Other people may not operate that way. But if I really like somebody, I do make an investment because I want to be with that person and I want to get to know them. Sometimes people are funny. They act like they want to be with you, but then all of a sudden they change their mind. And then again, I talked about both Logan and Eric possibly playing both sides. Now, there's a lot of stuff coming up. There's a lot of tears, a lot of drama. One bachelor talking about how he needs to be forthcoming and tell the truth about something. No clue what that is because, like I said, I make it a point not to do online investigation or cheat or what have you, because I like the element of surprise. I want to see what's going to happen next with this whole entire season and how everything will play out. Hopefully, both Logan and Eric and even Quincy will be sent their walking papers, and the meatball guy, because he's annoying too. In closing, and like I said, I want to keep this short and sweet. In closing, Rachel and Gabby got rid of the twins and Roby, the magician. I felt bad for him. But you know what? The thing is, it's like if you're not feeling it with a person, don't pursue it, especially if you feel like there's nothing there. If there's truly, truly nothing there and you don't feel any kind of a connection whatsoever, then just move on. And here is the final thought of what happened towards the end of this episode. The ladies, they're making up their own rules. Like I said, this is something new. It's never been done before. It was done with the Bachelor. I think we're talking about season 2 or 3 where they had two bachelors, but it ended up being one. It's like a beautiful season. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful relationship. But then like years later we found out like she was abusing him. It was awful. Like it was really really awful and sad that that relationship ended the way it did. Like I really didn't see that one coming at all. But shit happens. So the ladies did cancel the rose ceremony because they felt of all of the 32 men that were there, and they didn't have a connection with the twins. They came to an agreement. They didn't have a connection with the twins. They didn't have a connection with the magician. So they said goodbye to them and they decided to cancel the rose ceremony so they would have a chance to get to talk to the other guys that they didn't get to talk to that night. I think it's a wise choice because you never ever know the people that you didn't get a chance to speak to, that person could wind up being your person. One will never know. So that's it for the Bachelorette. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm very, very excited for this season coming. And of course, Married at First Sight, because I'm going to have a lot of sarcasm for that season. It's season 15. They're in San Diego. We're going to see what happens, how all of the relationships play out. And that's basically it. So don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. Oh, and one more thing I want to say, that I did do a podcast on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I talked about Erica and her denials and her messiness. And Diana Jenkins, like, who is this woman? I don't like her at all. Please do not renew this woman's contract. Get rid of her. She is not a rags to riches story whatsoever. Like, we all like to hear that, but we all like to hear how she's helping other people other than helping herself. And I need to say this: how are you allergic to dust, but you're able to go away on vacation? Like, shouldn't you be in a plastic bubble? Does that make any sense, people? Does it?
Responsibility, full responsibility, I can begin to trust you again. Does that seem like something you can do? Does it?
Does that make any sense, people? Does it? Anyway, with all that being said, this is Marabelle Blue signing off. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.